There it is.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning. I thought it should have had that.
Just thank you all for joining us again. And I am so excited about today's service and our soloist who's returning after not being with us for a while. I'm really excited, but we're going to start with Gail Rhodes doing the opening treatment. So Gail, thank you for the catch and take it away.
Yes. Good morning, all. Oh, so if you feel like it, close your eyes, take a deep breath, just get into that really present moment as we all together acknowledge there is only one thing, and that thing is God, and that thing is good. As we come together today, like-minded people, reinforcing in each other that which we already know, that which we already are, that we are moving forward to be and act accordingly. And that thing is spirit, and that thing is supported by love, joy, peace, wisdom, light, and life. And as we claim that and move into that space, which is already ours, but occasionally we forget, it's wonderful to be reminded by this group of people that we are always supported by, that we are always in the flow of spirit, which wants only the best for us. So when we come into agreement with that, with spirit, we feel the joy, the wisdom, the courage, the love. We see the beauty. We feel the companionship of our family and our friends. And we acknowledge it, and it blossoms and it grows. For that, I am grateful. And in this moment, I just release all hesitation, and I trust the process, and that is good. So as I release these words into the one mind, and as each one of us claim them as our own, I know it's already acted upon, it's already agreed to, and it's already showing up in our lives, individually and as one. For that, I am grateful. I know that it is so, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Gail. That was really beautiful. Totally.
You're welcome.
Okay, and so now I'm very excited because we have Elizabeth MacDougall is here today to be our soloist. So Elizabeth, thank you for being here and take it away. Okay, in lieu of applause, please put some encouraging words in the chat for Elizabeth to see, because that was beautiful, and I'm so touched. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of our Sunday. Okay, so the topic for today is putting the world back together. And I actually have had this topic kind of floating in my head for a couple of weeks. And so I thought, oh, should I change it? Should I do, because just in lieu of everything that's been going on the last few days for us. But I decided, for me, I feel like there's a great opportunity for us to begin working on a spiritual level and on a very practical level to create, this world that will work for everyone. And that opportunity has broadened, at least in my little head, quite a bit. But I want to share with you two stories that I found in the last week. One of them is absolutely 100% true. The other one, I'm not quite so sure, but close enough, and they may both be absolutely true. But the first one I'm going to tell you, is the one that has been documented. And if you've seen the movie Gandhi, you'll probably recognize this story. But there was the article that I found with it was written by Arun Gandhi, who was Mahatma Gandhi's son. So I figured that's a pretty good source. And the story is that there was a man, and he always thought of himself as a peaceful man, but his children and his wife were raped and murdered by a hate-filled, that's the term in the article, a hate-filled group of Muslims in Calcutta in 1946. And this led him, the man, to what I think for most of us is an understandable and yet unthinkable response. And what he did was he ended up joining a group of violent Hindus who were just out seeking revenge for what this mob had done to their community. And so before he had time to realize what he was doing, he became involved in a massacre of Muslims, and one family in particular. And in that family, he killed the child, or a child in that family. And he almost immediately knew that he would just be haunted forever and ever by his action. And so he went to see Gandhi, and in this particular telling of the story, Gandhi is actually in the middle of a fast, which is he's fasting until he dies. And so he's very weak. And so he goes and he's pleading for forgiveness. And he says, I've done this terrible thing, and I've murdered this family after my family was murdered. My life is a living hell, and I can't accept the additional burden of you starving yourself to death. Could you please just stop your fast? And Gandhi replies, if you want to atone for your sin, I have a suggestion. And first, for yourself, go and find an orphan Muslim baby and nurture that baby as if you were your own. And the only catch is that you must allow that baby to grow up in the Muslim faith. Now, according to this article, the man did do that, but what actually happened was he found a young woman who had a child, and they slowly grew a relationship, and he married her, even though she was Muslim, he was Hindu, they didn't care. And it's just this lovely story, and he adopts her son, and they have a daughter together. And I just thought it was such a lovely story. And at the time, that the story was being written, there is a quote from the author of the story, so Oro, and he says, "We understand what Gandhi meant when he said, change can come only one life at a time. Let that life be yours." So that's the first story. The second story is a little lighter, but that the idea of putting the world back together, or putting the world together, period, I think that there may be an answer in this little story. This is a story about a young student who found a large map of the world in a newspaper. And curious, the student took the map to the teacher and said, look what I have here. And the teacher saw this as an opportunity to challenge the student. So she took the map and she tore it into many, many pieces. And then she put all the fragments of paper, let them fall to the floor at the student's feet. And then she handed him a roll of tape and said, "I want you to reassemble the map of the world." And then she went about her rest of her day and just left him there. So according to this story, the student, undeterred, drops to the floor and in very short order he completed the assignment by taping together all the pieces of the whole world. And where a minute before there had been just scraps of paper everywhere, now he very proudly goes and hands the paper with the map on it to the teacher. And she's really caught off guard because it just happened so fast. And so she asks him how it possibly he could have reassembled from that so quickly. And the response was really short and to the point. And what he said, "There's a picture of a person on the backside. I repaired that one person and the whole world was fixed. It happened while you looked away." I just really love both of those stories, and the fact that I see in both of them a couple of similarities and a couple of points that I think are really relevant to what we're about to do, because we just are right now taking first steps into how do we want this to look and how are we going to put it back together and who is going to be served. So the first point is the world can be put right when we put right one person. And I'm just here to encourage you today to have that person be yourself first. And think about, what do you think the world needs? Do you think the world needs more love? Well, then love yourself more. Do you think the world needs more peace? Find a way to experience more peace in your daily life, but to start to move in that direction of creating within your own heart and within your own mind something beautiful every day. And that healing of ourself becomes the healing of our planet. Mahatma Gandhi said, "What is true of an individual will be tomorrow true for the whole nation if individuals will but refuse to lose heart and hope." So we've, for a lot of us over the last couple of days, there's been great hope, and then there's also been a huge losing of heart happening simultaneously in our country and on the planet. So I see how important it is for us to not lose heart, just to refuse to do that and to continue to love. I encourage you to go to my Facebook page today. It wasn't mine, but I loved it. I posted a picture of a sign that somebody put up in their yard, and I don't have it in front of me, but it says something like, "I love you." And you may be thinking, well, you don't know me, but if people can hate without knowing another person, then I think it's okay for me to love, and I love you. And that just went right through me. I thought, that's it. Put it right here. Well, what is true for me, and how can I start to allow that to be a greater good in the world? So the other thing that I see as common in these two stories is that it happens while you look away. But for me, what that says is stop looking at the problem and focus instead on the solution. I know I've shared with you lots of time a Elridge Cleaver quote of, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And I've always liked to do that reverse. If you're not part of the problem, then you are the solution. Let's be the solution. And a lot of times what that takes is absolutely, I have to change that. It's because I think I was about to say what you need to do is you need to stop looking at the problem. That's not actually correct. I don't believe that. I don't think that we can ignore the opportunity of what challenge looks like in our life. And we need to embrace it and say, so what is mine to do? And to begin at that point, that's what I mean by stop looking at the problem. Start focusing on what is mine to do in this moment, in this situation, with these people, whether you're alone or just in your house with whoever else lives in your house, and maybe it's at your job, and on and on and on. But if we start in that place of truth, that within this, there is room for me to grow. There is room for me to know something greater than has ever been known in these kind of circumstances before, and allow that to move us forward. The other thing, when I read the thing about, I did it while you weren't looking, from the child putting together the picture, I thought about what was there in that for me that I need to remember. There's this little short poem by William Perky, and he says, you've got to dance like there's nobody watching, love like you've never been hurt, sing like there's nobody listening, and live like it's heaven on earth. And I just think those are really important ideas on how to be. It's like we can't be waiting for somebody's opinion of who we should be in this moment, or taking in the things that we maybe think the world wants us to do. What is it that is really being called forward in each of us in this time, in these situations? And to go ahead and embrace that like nobody's watching, and like you'll never be hurt. And I just think those are great lessons for today. And again, back to Mahatma Gandhi, he says, whatever you do may seem insignificant to you, but it is most important that you do it. And I really think that's just a clue for us. It's like, well, does it really matter if I turn right and not left? And yeah, it does. What's your choice? What is it that's bringing you forward? So I just wanted to share those kind of ideas, and I know this is a little short today, but that's okay. And, I want to kind of close with, I have a friend who's the minister over in Grass Valley, Nevada City area. It's called the CSL Sierra, or Sierra CSL. And the minister there is Rafe Ellis. And if you ever want to just hear a great talk, you can go and listen to that. But he published on the minister's listserv in the last couple of days, he paraphrased a poem by Howard Thurman. And the poem is The Work of Christmas, but he changed it to The Work of the Election. So this is The Work of the Election by Ray Phillis. And this is what it says. When the song of the celebration is stilled, when the color of the map is gone, when the pundits and the politicians are home, when people are back with their communities, the work of the election begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among brothers, to make music in the heart. So that's what we're about to do, is we're about to step forward into a life where I really think, because for me anyway, as a practicing religious scientist, this is exactly when the work begins. So I'm inviting all of you to also join in and look for ways that you can help find the lost, help heal the broken, help feed the hungry, help release the prisoner, help rebuild the nations, help bring peace among all people, and make music in your heart. So we're going to do another treatment, and so I invite you to enter into a minute of silence with me and the rest of us. And if you have a request that you would like mentioned in the treatment during this minute, would be a great time for you to type that into the chat, and I'll add it in. So just take a deep breath with me, and then another a little deeper than the previous one. And join with me in this minute of silence. So know with me right now how wonderful it is to stand in the knowing that there is an infinite, divine, loving presence that is God, and that is everywhere all the time. It truly is all that there is. So we take this moment to remember that this beautiful energy is breathing us, living us, guiding us in every moment and in every way. We can sense, see, feel this presence. How wonderful it is to recognize that this divine energy is my life. It is your life. It is the life of everyone, everywhere. Individually and collectively, we take this time to acknowledge the gift that it flows through each of us, everyone, everywhere. And how wonderful it is to bring this light to our thoughts, to our fears, to our needs, to our desires. For it is here that we lay down all the armor, all the resistance, and instead affirm a deeper resolve for the highest vision for ourselves and for all. Together, in consciousness, we lift up the country, the planet, all of humanity. We call in wholeness, perfect health, peace, clarity, and a soul remembrance that the universe is conspiring for the highest good for every person and everything. There is nothing outside of the divine. So there is nothing anywhere that can move us from this place of grace, this place of knowing who we really are. This is a perfect moment. And so in this moment, I also know, first for Gail, that right where she is, this perfection, this wholeness, this clarity is absolutely the healing power that is moving through her and into her life in ways known and unknown. And there is just such rejoicing happening in her heart right now. And I know for Terry that right where she is, there is also, again, this perfect, whole, complete, healthy being who is just enthusiastically accepting the truth of herself and feeling every molecule, every atom, every subatomic part of her body now vibrating with this truth of who she is. And I know for Sandy that she continues to stay in this present moment, appreciating the blessings that are in her life, seeing that clearly and feeling the upliftment as she moves forward. And I know for Harvey that there is a reconciliation happening within his own heart right now. And that is the first step to the reconciliation of our country. That as each of us enters into this awareness peacefully, honestly, lovingly, that all of this can happen on an individual level and for every being in our country, in our planet. So I have this great feeling of gratitude for all the things that I've mentioned. And I know that together we are this big pool of thanksgiving, that we acknowledge the powerful grace of God as it moves through our life right here, right now. And that this energy is transmitted through our spoken word, through our conscious thoughts, and through our deeds today and always. And it is from this place that I know that we can let go, surrender, and trust, knowing that this word has been heard and extraordinary things are moving from the invisible to the visible. Together we trust this truth and simply allow the beauty of the universe to continue to unfold for all, known and unknown, seen and unseen, great and small. As together we know in our hearts that all beings are happy, all beings are peaceful, all beings are free, for all beings are God. And we let it be so, and so it is. So take another deep breath and allow that breath to begin to guide us as we gently move from the practice of awareness to the practice of circulation. And yes, now is the time for our offering. So I want to, again, as always, just thank each of you for your ongoing support, for your ongoing love for our center. I know things still feel a little rocky at times, but what I see is that there is great clarity unfolding for us as a spiritual community. And for that to continue to happen in order for the center to be here and that we can meet, please keep up your giving. And I will remind you again, there are currently 3 ways that you can give to the church. And first is just to mail a check. You can do that weekly, monthly, annually, whatever works for you. The second is to add us to how you pay your bills, if you pay electronically, and make the center a payee. And the third, which is relatively new, is there is a PayPal button on our website at cslucaya.org. And click on that, and the instructions are very simple, and then you're done. So it's a pretty easy thing. So I'm going to put up our affirmation, and so can you see it? It's very weird for me because when I put up the screen, I don't always see it. Okay, there it is. All right, so offering affirmation. So say with me now, divine love through me blesses and multiplies this gift. With all my heart and with all my mind, I know that I am saying yes to something I value. With all others present here, we dedicate these gifts to the values and visions we share. And so it is. Okay, and so I do also have a couple of announcements. Here we go. So again, we are still looking for a couple of people who would be willing to serve on the new board, and we'll be selecting those people in January. So there are some requirements, but if you're interested, if you could call or text Bonnie Callan and let her know, that would be great. I also attached an intentional giving form because this is November, and as you know, traditionally in our center, this is the month that we send out intentional giving forms, just to ask if you can share with us what you think you'll be giving to the center over the next year. So it just helps us kind of see what we can do and what we can plan for. There are a few things that, as we move forward, will be really important that we know that we also have financial backing for that. The third thing is, and I think I mentioned this last week, but after, it was just during in our little chat room after the service, and Calvin Johnson has offered to support a Christmas Eve service. And so I would love to do that. And we've already kind of talked about a couple of ideas. It would be very simple. There would be a lot of singing, but you would be on mute. So but Calvin would be singing, and you can sing along from home. So if you're interested in that, if you could please let me know, that would be really great. I also want you to know that I was watching Santa Rosa and San Jose this morning, like I do, and and Santa Rosa is doing a Thanksgiving Eve service. So if you're, wanting something like that, I went last year. I actually drove down and went to the service, and it was just beautiful, and it was really wonderful. So they're creating that virtually. So we might get some clues on what we might be able to do for Christmas watching Santa Rosa's Thanksgiving Eve service. So anyway, that's the announcements for today. And I would also just like to thank again Elizabeth MacDougall for being here and being a part of our service. So Elizabeth, if you'd like to play us out. that would be fabulous. Thank you so much. So thank you all for being here and participating today. If you'd like to stay in chat, that would be great. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. So namaste.